let's keep politics out of the pulpit, because the gospel has nothing to do whatsoever with politics, right? Not really. Not really at all. Think about it this way. First of all, we got to think about, when we think of politics in the American scene, we're thinking about my desire to vote for a certain candidate over another candidate. So we're thinking about pretty much advocacy for one candidate and dismissing another candidate. Politics, the way I think it's better to think about it, is more in the ancient way of the polis, the city from which we get the word. What good can I do? What good should I do for my community, for my city? So think about it this way. Imagine your pastor, he's a new pastor, and he said, okay, I'm going to start a series in the book of Isaiah. And I'm going to tell you the ancient context. I'm going to give you some of the social background, some of the history, some of the cultural stuff. But don't expect me to show you how that text, that ancient text of Isaiah, relates to your marriage, to friendship, to how you treat your neighbors, to how you think about being a citizen. I'm not going to do that whatsoever. I'm just going to preach this ancient text. We'd say, wait a second. No, you need to show us the implications and the applications for what this text means. So in the same sort of way, by saying the gospel, the Bible has nothing to do with politics, is missing the point. We've said for many years, we quote Luther and others, the gospel relates to all of life. And in the abstract, everyone loved that. But when it came to 2014 and 2015, and I was encouraging pastor friends, hey, I'm not saying you should get up in the pulpit and advocate for one candidate over another. But what I am saying is that when you're in the pulpit, you ought to do a series on how do we think Christianly about this upcoming election. Does God have anything whatsoever for us to be thinking about, or do we just go in as a blank slate into the voting booth and it doesn't really matter? Really, Scripture has nothing to say. So talk to us about the kind of character, the kind of competence, the kind of goodwill, the kind of willingness to sacrifice that a politician ought to have. What does all that mean? Let us wrestle with the implications of it and the application of it, but tease out for us that the Scriptures do have much to say about this and how we ought to think about it, and then leave maybe, obviously Romans 14 and 1 Corinthians 8, issues that are grayer, and one conscience maybe can go in one direction, another can go in both directions, or whatever. There's some freedom there, but think about, like when we say, and this is common in white American evangelical churches, like, oh no, we need to keep politics out of the pulpit, and because the gospel has nothing to do with politics. And that's like saying the gospel has nothing to do with marriage, or the gospel has nothing to do with friendship, or the gospel has nothing to do with how you spend your money, or save your money, or hobbies, or just fill in the blank with a myriad of issues.